You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's now time to know what's on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. I've got joining me on the program, Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst, Sheson Okwade. Thank you so much for joining us on the news, on the program.
Good morning and thank God it's Friday.
It's good to have you. And the CEO, CKN News, Chris Kende Mwando. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Nice to be here.
All right, a quick peek into the headlines. Let's see what they're saying. First news, how I killed Super TV CEO, 21-year-old student confesses. Blueprint, the first one again, how I killed Super TV CEO, 21-year-old student confesses. Blueprint has the headline, Keyamo on public works. That's the the kicker rather. Headline, paying 774,000 participants may not be feasible. Paying 774,000 participants may not be feasible. Business days next. MTN Nigeria eyes 2 million retail investors ahead 48% share sale. MTN Nigeria eyes 2 million retail investors ahead 48% share sale. That's according to Business Day. The next is national economy. Petroleum industry. The petroleum industry bill's passage may extend beyond 2021. Petroleum industry bill's passage may extend beyond 2021. Leadership is next. It has the headline, the screaming headline, citing national interest. PMB shifts ground on restructuring. This has been generating lots and lots of reaction. Citing national interest, PMB shifts ground on restructuring. Next is Daily Trust, the kicker 2023, and the headline reads, APC in fresh dilemma over zoning convention. 2023, APC in fresh dilemma over zoning convention. And let's go to the Punch newspaper, which has as Buhari leaves for UK checkup as doctors threaten fresh strike. The writers, President going for medical follow-up returns July. That's according to presidency. Buhari beats 21-day requirement, avoids handover to Professor Shimbajo. NAD laments accumulated salaries, says federal government fails to fulfill promise. Let's go to the next newspaper headline, which is News Direct. 2023 confusion. Senate backs creation of additional constituencies, and the rider to support INEC in defining electoral boundaries. Okay, we've got the Nigerian Tribune with a screaming headline, Nigeria is poor. Only option is to borrow. That's according to the Senate President. And the rider reads, federal government states owe 33.11 trillion external domestic debts. That's according to the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. And the Daily Sun, Defense Chief Irabor attacks Sheik Gumi. Defense Chief Irabor attacks Sheik Gumi. The rider reads, says anyone accusing military of conniving with bandits, hallucinating, the Islamic cleric should be arrested. That's according to Independent People of Biafra, IPOB. And federal government woos retired military officers. That's according to the Daily Sun. Alleged soldiers collusion with bandits. Defense Chief Irabor attacks Sheik Gumi. And last but certainly not the least, the Vanguard newspaper. Over the nameplate, we've got CBN asks farmers to pay back ABP loans. And then the screaming headline, the main headline here, allegation of Southerners provoking North. Ohaneze, Pandef, Afenifere take Arewa Forum to task. The writers, such comments should be ignored. ACF scribe contradicts Audu Ogbe, Afenifere. Northerners are the ones provoking Southerners, Ohaneze, and South only seeking egalitarian nation, not war. Wow, that's pretty amazing headlines we've got here. So let's get to discussing all of this that we have here. Let me start with you, Sheson. The Senate President says Nigeria is poor. That's the kicker of that headline, infrastructure. Nigeria is poor. Only option is to borrow, Senate President. And we are owing, federal government, states owe 33.11 trillion external domestic debts. That's according to NBS. We've always gone a borrowing. And they've said that we cannot but to borrow. Do you think that's the actual way to go in order to revitalize our economy?
Very wonderful submission by the Senate President. First and foremost, that Nigeria is poor. That he has come to this realization is pretty well, that he knows that we are poor. And the other option is telling us that we should go ahead and borrow. It's where I have a challenge. We have said it that rather than we continue borrowing and borrowing, what are we doing with the internally generated revenue by the federal government? We have so much from the FIRS, we have so much from the MPA, from the custom and other agencies, but we go ahead to borrow salaries to maintain salary, to pay salaries of civil servants and some other things, not just only infrastructure. And we have asked again, the Senate President coming to tell us that we are poor. What measure have they taken as leaders to make sure that the cost of governance, come to think about it, do you know the average number of personnel that works with an average leader, starting from the president, the vice president, the Senate President, the governors, the House of Representatives? There are a series of senior special advisors. Aside that, you have special advisors, then you have advisors to the special advisors, then you have the PA to the advisors. When you look at the trail of some of these things, you discover that some of this money that we are invested or that we are pumping into the politician can be saved to do some certain things. There was like a few days ago, I heard the Minister of Works talking about we need to borrow to maintain some of the infrastructures that we have. And I said, no, I will not subscribe to that. Some of these infrastructures were developed by our founding fathers and they borrowed money to put those infrastructures in place. But we should have put some certain measures in place to make sure that we generate revenue to maintain some of the things we have. So that the Senate President is coming, fine. It's good that they confirm that an average Nigerian, that we are poor. Not just the government in totality, but even the individuals therein. I may have to tell you this, that before now, we have some Nigerians can maintain 3 square meters. But with the high rise in prices of food, which is the basic thing. You see, when you go to Abraham Maslow law, there are 3 basic things that you must do at the lowest rate. That is food, shelter, and security. This we lack in this nation. And once those fundamental things are not there, then nobody can be proud of anything. So people that can maintain 3 square meters before now has resulted into either having 0, 1, 0. That means you abandon your breakfast, try to look at the best option in the afternoon, and go to bed empty-handed. And you now have a series of people going to hospital and they say we are having ulcer. So it's quite difficult that that the government are not doing what is needful. It's not just a loan to borrow. Let's go ahead and utilize some of the internally generated revenue from this agency to maintain some of the infrastructure that we are developing. Because the money they are borrowing now, they are not the one to pay. There is no plan for this repayment. You are just, borrowing this money for children unborn. When some of the developed countries are borrowing to invest, repay, and make the future of their children to be a better off. So that was a challenge.
Let me quickly take this to you. Yesterday we saw that Togo launched solar panel, which is to provide power to, I think, about 8 million people in the country. And they borrowed this money. We can see the infrastructure. But the Senate President in Nigeria says that we should do the same. We have to continue borrowing to ensure that we have our economy alive.
It's good that it's come from the Senate President. They have only marked their own script. And what they have given themselves is F9, as we used to say during my secondary school days. It's obvious that they failed as a government. Let me not even take it back, but let's take it from 2015. Is that what they promised Nigerians in 2015 when they were campaigning? That they are going to make us poorer? The campaign was premised on certain indices, which they promised Nigerians. So many of them: power, take us out of poverty, insecurity, name it. But from what the Senate President is saying, it's obvious that they've not been able to achieve that. Because from what he has said, he has only showed and told Nigerians that yes, you are much poorer than you were before we can. So it's quite unfortunate. And it's good that it's coming from them. If some of us are saying that, it will seem like, oh, you guys are critics, journalists, you are the problem. But now it's coming from them. And for a government to come to say that we cannot do anything except we borrow, it shows the level of total collapse of governance on the part of the current government.
But when we don't have money, don't you think you should look at it from this angle? If we don't have enough money to execute most of the projects that we have at hand, we have the issue of insecurity, we have the economy, we've got so many things, in our hands, and we don't have enough money.
There is no country that has enough money.
And so many countries borrows as well.
Yes, I agree. There's no. You need to look at the American economy before Obama came in, and within a stretch of 8 years, you saw what he was able to do. Don't forget that you see other this same country, despite whatever we say, that a particular government also came in, had serious problem, challenges, but by the time the government was leaving, they have cleared all our debts. It's still in this country. What I'm saying in essence is that the problem is that we don't seem to have people with the thinking mentality to be able to. Are you saying that Nigeria don't have enough resources? What is in the whole of Africa? Are we not number one when it comes? Of course, you use that as a song every time. You forgot what they say about Nigeria. The problem we have is that we don't have people in government who can think out of just the ordinary. Let me give you a practical example. There's nothing wrong with anybody borrowing. Several countries borrow, as you rightly said. But the problem is that what we borrow, what do we use them for? If we say we are borrowing for infrastructure, where are the infrastructures? Because the essence of giving, look at it. The World Bank recently have refused to grant Nigeria a loan because they believe that the last time the one they gave us in the past, we didn't use it for exactly what we're supposed to use it for. That should be worrisome. So what I'm saying in essence, just to lay credence to what Sheson said, is that the kind of what we have is a situation where our leaders are totally locked focus. And let me give you that there's this judge we used to have when we were in secondary school. Right. Any person that goes borrowing, go what? Sorrowing, that's what we used to say. And do you know what? It has put us in a very peculiar situation whereby we cannot be a sovereign nation. You know why? Because we now depend on China for borrowing, collecting money. What also means that our sovereignty as a nation is now tied down to certain countries. There are certain things that China might just do now. We cannot be able to talk because we are going to them. What we need to do, we've said several times that we need to diversify the economy. We cannot continue depending on oil. This country, there are some countries in Africa, all they export is gold. Right. We have gold in Nigeria, or we have mineral resources in every part of the country that we don't have to rely on just oil alone to be able to survive. Go to Kogi, go to Enugu, go to. If you move from here, if you move from Lagos to Benin, from Shagamu, see the arrays of land, green. What are we doing about agriculture?
But I think, when you said that we don't have anything to show for it, for some of the things that we've borrowed, we know that the president was in Lagos recently to launch the train project. That's actually something that we can point at.
Which train project?
Okay. Let us move to another, because there's so many things to talk about. and after launching that train project, you saw that we've been saying the president should talk. He's been coming out. He's been going to, left Lagos to another state. I'm actually moving.
We launched that, and a few days after that, 4 people were actually kidnapped. Among those, the expatriates were kidnapped from Lagos to.
Not even that. The train that was launched, the AC packed up. Didn't you hear that the AC packed up?
Well, I'm actually moving to another headline.
Please move.
so after the launching of the train, and the president went to another place, and we've been saying the president didn't talk. He hasn't been talking, and we've been seeing him, several times. He granted interview to two national media organizations. So now he's leaving for the UK after this tour. Isn't it not enough for the president to take a rest?
Which rest? The president came to Lagos. He went to Borno.
And thereafter
he granted 2 interviews. He's now moving out for rest. What of me that have been working since last day, they have not taken. Let us not simplify very serious matters. I don't have any problem with the president going for medical checkup. It is within his. It is good that we have a healthy president to be able to run. But that is, if the president has put something in place, he has been able to put a good health system in place here. Will you have to start running to UK every time? Part of the promises that they told us is that they are going to build up infrastructure, and part of that infrastructure is having a standardized hospital within the country. Even the Aso Rock Clinic that we vote billions and billions of naira every year. What happens to the Aso Rock? You remember that the First Lady came out some time ago to cry that the Aso Rock clinic, that you can't even get any level of medication, and that to me is challenging. So the president going, because he has the privilege, what of me if I fall sick now, where will I go to? Anyway,
we've got so much to talk about on the newspaper review, but we'll have to take a break now. Just stay with us. We'll be back. You're watching TVC Breakfast. I've got with me in the studio Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst Sheson Kwade and CEO CKN News Chris Kende Wando. So we've been talking about what the newspapers are saying. So we've got The Guardian here, which has its headline: 324,000 children, $27.8 billion lost to conflict in Northeast. That's according to the UN. That's huge, Sheson.
If you look at it, I'm sure there's going to be a counter response from the presidency on the report from UN, because they will tell you that that is not true, that we need to look internally. But you and I know what we've been facing in the last few months with unrest in the Northeast and the Northwest, and it has spread around the nation, the South, everywhere. And it's quite disappointing. When we were growing up, they keep telling us, we are the leaders. These children, they say children are the leaders of tomorrow. And these are the same children that you are killing on daily basis, traumatizing. Do you know how traumatic it is for a child to leave his parents for this? And you're just taking him by unknown men. You know, we have a slogan, they say unknown gunmen. It has now become a slogan that we are using. 324 children. Out of these, we've seen senators, we've seen president, we've seen governors, people that we can, be proud of. And not just that alone. Look at the value we're talking about: $27.8 billion and not naira. And we keep telling us that we want to go ahead and borrow because we have not put in the right infrastructure, the right, government policy to support business that can entrench growth for every individual. I keep saying it. Let the government put in place the right infrastructure, the right policies, the right enabling environment secured. Nigerians are very creative. We make things happen in the developed world. So why can't we do it here? All because we don't have electricity, we don't have good road, there is no security, you can't guarantee. Shita. My business entails traveling all over the state and in the nation. But in the last 1.5 years, I cannot even move from here to Ibadan. The last time I went visited to Chris in Ibadan, it was like, am I sad? It's to tell you that insecurity has affected the business. And this must be nipped at the bud, make the environment conducive for people. Nigerians are creative. Very proud of an average Nigeria, youth in particular, will make things happen.
Anyway, Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawale, got another opinion. The last meeting they had with the president, the Northern Governors meeting they had with the president, he said that the peace is coming back to the north, and now for the past 4 months in the state, he didn't have any issue of insecurity or any issue of attack. And he said in the last 4 days, I really don't know, maybe in the last 4 days or the last 4 months, according to different reports. But let me bring it to you. The Daily Sun reads that alleged soldiers' collusion with bandits. Defense Chief Irabor attacks Sheik Gumi, says anyone accused the military of conniving with bandits, hallucinating. Islamic clerics should be arrested, as according to IPOB, and federal government woos retired military officers. I wanted to quickly react to this because we have one more story to take before we call it a day.
It's quite unfortunate that when we look at the comment coming from the revered or respected, as it were, I used to respect him, I don't know what I still do, Sheik Gumi, some of the comments coming from him is becoming very, very unbecoming of somebody of that status. Right. And if you look at some of these comments, you see that he's dividing us the more than uniting us. Let me just take one or two. First and foremost, there was a time he was saying that Christian soldiers were the one killing people in the north and the rest of them. He came back again to also attack, say all sorts of things against the military. Just a few days ago, he went further to say, that the bandits are better than IPOB, because why the IPOB is going around burning, mailing security agents, that the bandits were only trying to make a living by kidnapping children and the rest of them. And I was just wondering, why Why is it that the DSS and our security agents have not invited him for questioning? It's just, no matter whoever, even the president of Nigeria, in as much as he's immune to prosecution and rest of them, we can invite. Don't forget the National Assembly recently invited the president to come and give some kind of clarification on certain issues, although it didn't go. But that also means that there is nobody in this country that is above this country. So if people like him are making inflammatory this thing and giving life to banditry, kidnapping, and all sorts of criminality, then I think it's high time. What are they afraid of? If it had been any other person, they would have picked him up. So I think it is high time. So the chief of defense staff shouldn't just be talking, there's high time that we have our security agents. Invite him, let him tell them what he knows and the kind of this thing. But at times it could also be that they are just trying to just keep quiet and just want to give their kind of prominence in it. And lastly, I think we also, the media, should be able to do something. We seems to be giving so much life to this man, publicity. Yeah. And I think that it is high time we in the media should just blacklist him. He shouldn't appear on television. Whatever he says shouldn't be, because we are also the one giving. You might say that he have a freedom of speech, but that also forget that whatever comment he makes has a way of elevating some of these ills to another level. So I should also talk to my colleagues, television station, radio station, those of us online, and newspapers and the rest of them. It is high time we put national interest over and above certain individuals in our reporting.
I think we will not be closing our eyes to what's making the news, because that is what we post on TV. That's the content we're looking for.
It goes beyond content. I graduated from the Nigerian Institute of Journalism 32 years ago. There were certain things that we were taught. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. You have to weigh, you have to have a balance in your reportage. And it's a fact. I'm talking as a journalist now. I'm not just talking as a Nigerian. Well, what I'm saying is that we are the one giving him the fuel with which he's driving his car. If he can come on national television and making those kind of aspirations against our security agencies, talking about how we have to treat bandits, how we have to bring them back, I don't think that is healthy enough. That to me is not good enough. It's not good enough.
I'm afraid we're actually out of time, and there's so many things to talk about, because this will still continue to make the tongues wag. Well, Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst Sheik Gumi, thank you so much for coming on TVC Breakfast, and CEO CKN News.